You wake up every day and step into a world that doesn't always make sense. A world where some faces are warm and inviting, while others carry a coldness that seeps deep into your soul. Let me tell you something, and I need you to listen closely. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Not everyone who's in your circle is there to support you. Some people don't just take from you, and when they're done, you'll wonder where your peace went. Today, I'm here to tell you, you need to learn how to spot the evil around you. The signs are there if you know how to look. And once you recognize them, you can protect yourself from people who would destroy your peace and leave you broken in their wake. So pay close attention. This is not just about survival. This is about reclaiming the life that was meant for you. Let's dive into it. Number one, they feed on your weaknesses. There are people in this world who wear a smile like armor. They look at you and they seem friendly enough, even warm at times. But deep down, beneath the surface of their outward kindness, there is a subtle and dangerous truth. They are waiting for you to show vulnerability. And when you do, when you let down your guard, when you reveal even the slightest bit of weakness, that's when they strike. It's not physical. No, it's far more insidious. They feed on your insecurities like parasites. They see your struggle, your pain, and they feed off of it, growing stronger while you grow weaker. The sad truth is that these toxic individuals don't have your best interests at heart. They don't see your potential. They don't care about your growth. What they see is an opportunity, an opening, a chance to use your struggles as leverage to turn your vulnerability into their weapon of control. What's even more devastating is that these people often appear to be supportive at first. They might listen when you talk about your difficulties. They might offer words of encouragement, but these are hollow gestures. You'll hear things like, "I understand," or "You're not alone." But instead of genuinely helping you navigate through the darkness, they subtly exploit your pain. They latch onto your weaknesses like a predator to its prey. Each time you reveal something personal, a weakness, a fear, a dream that you're too afraid to chase, they file it away. They catalog it. And the next time you're around them, they will use it. They'll twist your words, remind you of your insecurities, and make you doubt yourself all over again. They want to make sure you stay in that place of weakness, because as long as you're there, they can control you. And control, in their eyes, is power. It's like a game to them, a silent game where your vulnerabilities are the currency they trade in. They don't care about your emotional well-being or your happiness. What they want is to see you remain stuck, to see you stay trapped in the cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. And every time you take a step forward, they will remind you of your past failures, your mistakes, and the moments in your life that hurt the most. They will constantly drag you back to those places of pain, using them as anchors to hold you in place. Because as long as they can make you question your worth, as long as they can remind you of how imperfect you are, they will maintain control over you. This is the danger of these toxic people. They don't just leave you in your weakness. They make sure you stay there. The worst part about these people is that they do it under the guise of caring. They pretend to be your friend, your confidant, the one who gets you. But in reality, they are just biding their time. They wait for those moments when you're most vulnerable, most open, and then they move in for the kill. They might offer you advice, but it's advice that only serves to keep you stuck. They might try to give you solutions, but these solutions are always just out of reach, always keeping you a step away from true growth. They'll tell you they have your best interests at heart, but their actions say otherwise. They know that as long as they can keep you feeling small, keep you feeling less than, they hold the power in the relationship. And that power is everything to them. It's crucial to recognize that this kind of behavior is not something you can fix by being nicer, more understanding, or more patient. These people don't want to be helped. They thrive on your weakness because it feeds their own insecurities. They are not looking for a true connection. They are looking for a source of energy that they can consume without giving anything back. The more you give, the more they take. The more you share, the more they exploit. And eventually, you will be left drained, exhausted, and emotionally depleted. They will have taken everything you had to offer without ever giving anything of substance in return. And when you're finally too weak to fight back, when you're too worn out to stand up for yourself, they will move on to the next target, leaving you wondering what just happened. This cycle of exploitation doesn't just hurt emotionally, it impacts you physically too. The stress, the anxiety, the constant worrying about what they might do next, all of this takes a toll on your body. It wears you down in ways that you can't even begin to comprehend. The fear of what they might say next, the tension of trying to keep up with their ever-changing mood, and the emotional whiplash of their manipulation, it all takes a toll. Your heart rate increases when you're around them, your stomach churns with unease, and your body responds in ways that signal something's wrong. But you're so accustomed to their behavior that you don't even recognize the signs anymore. You've become numb to the pain, too used to the manipulation and control. And in doing so, you let them feed off of you in ways that leave scars you can't even see. It's easy to think that you can change these people, that with enough love, enough support, you can help them see the light. But let me tell you this, you cannot save someone who thrives on your misery. You cannot heal someone who only finds strength in your pain. You cannot help someone who gets their power from your weakness. The sooner you realize this, the sooner you'll be able to protect yourself from them. They may have found a way into your life, into your heart, but they do not belong there. And the only way to take back control is to stop feeding them. Stop giving them access to your vulnerability. Stop allowing them to exploit your weaknesses for their gain. It might be hard at first. It might feel like you're betraying them, like you're turning your back on someone who needs you, but understand this. You are not the one who has betrayed. They are the ones who betrayed you by using your weaknesses as a tool for their own manipulation. The moment you recognize this, the moment you realize that your vulnerabilities are not something for them to exploit, you take away their power. You stop feeding them and you start feeding yourself. You start healing. You start reclaiming your peace. You stop giving them access to the parts of you that are still healing. You become stronger, not because of them, but in spite of them. To be clear, protecting yourself from toxic people doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. It doesn't make you selfish, it makes you strong. You cannot afford to give someone power over you who doesn't have your best interests at heart. You cannot allow someone to continue feeding on your weaknesses, draining you of everything that makes you strong. It's time to stop being their prey. It's time to stop being their emotional fuel. Your energy is too valuable to be wasted on people who only want to take and never give. Recognize the signs early and don't hesitate to walk away from those who seek to drain you. Your worth is not defined by your weaknesses. Your worth is defined by your strength, your resilience, and your ability to rise above the challenges you face. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone make you feel small for the things that hurt you. Your vulnerabilities are not something to be ashamed of, but they are also not something to be exploited. Protect them fiercely, and in doing so, you protect your peace, your joy, and your power. They always play the victim. You've met them. They have a way of making every conversation, every interaction about themselves. It doesn't matter what you're going through or how strong you are. It's always about how they've been wronged, how they've been hurt, how life has dealt them an unfair hand, and they never fail to remind you of it. They wear their victimhood like a badge of honor, expecting everyone around them to acknowledge their pain while never lifting a finger to help themselves. It's exhausting, draining, and manipulative. It's a tactic they use to gain sympathy, control, and power over those who dare to show them compassion. You'll notice it quickly once you pay attention. Every story they tell is centered around how they've been mistreated, misunderstood, or betrayed. It's never their fault. They'll twist every situation, manipulate the facts, and always make sure you see them as the one who's been wronged. Whether it's a broken friendship, a failed job, or a failed relationship, somehow they are always the one on the receiving end of the injustice. Their mistakes, never their fault. Their shortcomings, always someone else's doing. They refuse to take accountability for their actions, always shifting the blame onto others, making sure you believe They're the innocent party. And every time you listen, every time you give them the attention they crave, you're giving them the power they seek. It's a dangerous game they play, one that keeps you tied to their narrative of victimhood. You try to help them, to show empathy, to offer a shoulder to lean on, but no matter how much you give, it's never enough. The story never changes. They continue to see themselves as a victim, someone who is constantly at the mercy of the world. And what happens when you start to question their story? When you start to see the inconsistencies, they'll turn on you. They'll accuse you of not understanding, of being unsupportive, of turning your back on them. The moment you stop playing the role of their emotional crutch, they'll turn the tables on you, making you the villain in their tale of woe. But here's the truth. People who play the victim are the ones who refuse to take control of their lives. They don't want solutions. They don't want to heal. What they want is attention, sympathy, and validation. They want the world to see them as the person who's always struggling, always suffering, always in need of help. Because when you're the victim, you don't have to take responsibility for your action. You don't have to confront your flaws. You don't have to face the harsh reality that life sometimes doesn't go the way you want it to. Being a victim allows you to avoid all of that. It allows you to stay stuck in a cycle of self-pity and resentment, all while making everyone around you feel guilty for not fixing things. It doesn't matter how much you sacrifice, how much you try to be there for them, because the truth is, it's never enough. Their victimhood is insatiable. They'll continue to feed off of your time, your energy, your compassion, until there's nothing left to give. And when you finally run out of empathy, when you start to draw boundaries, when you start to recognize the toxicity of their behavior, they'll turn on you. You'll become the person who didn't care, the one who abandoned them in their time of need. But don't fall for it. This is their manipulation. This is their way of keeping you trapped in their web of emotional control. What these people fail to realize is that they're not looking for help, they're looking for someone to blame. They want to stay in their victim role because it gives them power over others. As long as they can make you feel guilty for not being there for them, as long as they can convince you that their suffering is the worst thing anyone has ever experienced, they hold control. The moment you stop giving them that control, the moment you start questioning their narrative, they will do whatever it takes to keep you in line. They'll use guilt. They'll use emotional manipulation. They'll use everything at their disposal to make you feel responsible for their pain. But here's the truth you need to hear. You are not responsible for their suffering. You are not responsible for their emotional baggage. And you certainly are not responsible for fixing them. These people have chosen to stay in their victimhood. They've chosen to live in a world where nothing is ever their fault, where the universe is always out to get them. And they want you to be their witness, their audience, their enabler. They want you to validate their narrative, to continue to tell them that everything they're going through is too much to bear. But you don't have to. You don't have to carry their weight. And you don't have to let them drag you down into their cycle of self-pity. In fact, the best thing you can do for yourself and for them is to stop playing the role of their savior. Stop rescuing them from their own mess. Stop giving them the power to manipulate your emotions. And when they try to pull you back into their web of victimhood, when they try to convince you that you're the one who's wrong for not supporting them, stand firm. Recognize their tactics for what they are: manipulation. They're using their suffering as a tool to control your actions and emotions. And they will continue to do so as long as you allow it. It's hard to let go of someone you care about, especially when they've convinced you that they need you. But understand this. People who refuse to take responsibility for their lives will drain you. They will make you feel like you're the one responsible for their happiness, their well-being, and their success. And in doing so, they will rob you of your own peace, your own sense of purpose, and your own joy. It's time to stop playing their game. It's time to recognize the victim mentality for what it is, a trap. You can love someone without enabling them. You can support someone without letting them make you their emotional punching bag. You can be there for someone without letting them manipulate you into believing you're the one who's always at fault. When you finally recognize the signs of the victim mentality and take a step back, you'll find that your peace begins to return. You'll stop feeling the weight of their emotional turmoil pressing down on you. And you'll start to realize that your life, your happiness, and your energy are worth more than their constant need for validation. Don't let them win. Don't let their manipulation continue to drain you. You have the power to step away, to protect your peace, and to stop being the emotional crutch for someone who refuses to stand on their own. It's time to let go. Number 3, their actions don't match their words. Have you ever felt like someone's words were comforting, convincing, maybe even heartfelt, but then their actions didn't align? They promise you the world, tell you how much they care, how much they want to help, how much they're going to be there for you, but when it's time to back up those words, they disappear. Their words are sweet, but their actions are hollow. They say what you want to hear, give you just enough to keep you invested, but when you need them the most, they are nowhere to be found. It's a frustrating, confusing, and heartbreaking reality. It's like being caught in a web of deceit and empty promises, where you're left wondering, do they really mean what they say? This is the behavior of truly toxic people. Their words are all about what they want you to believe about them, the image they want to project, the reputation they want to build. They'll tell you they'll be there for you, that they'll help you through tough times, that they'll support you no matter what, but when the rubber meets the road, they bail out. They tell you they'll help you with something, but when the time comes, they're nowhere to be found. They say they're your friend, your partner, your confidant, but when you need them, you realize that their promises were just that. Words, empty and meaningless. It's soul crushing, especially when you've invested so much in what you thought was a genuine connection. It's important to understand that words are easy. Anyone can say anything. We live in a world where promises flow like water, where people say things to win favor, to gain trust, to make themselves seem better than they are. But actions, they require effort. They require commitment. They require integrity. And when someone's actions don't match their words, it's a red flag. It's a sign that they don't respect you enough to follow through. They don't value your time, your trust, or your feelings. And most of all, they don't care enough to be consistent in their support of you. This kind of behavior often feels like a bait and switch. They reel you in with grand promises, speak the right words, make you feel like you matter, like they're your biggest cheerleader, your most reliable ally. But when it's time for them to step up to the plate, they fall short. They disappear when you need them. They make excuses. They ghost you when they promised they would show up. This is the hallmark of a toxic individual, someone who has mastered the art of saying what sounds good, but doesn't back it up with meaningful actions. It's manipulative. It's a tactic used to keep you emotionally invested, to keep you hanging on to a lie. You see, a person's actions are the true measure of their character. Words are fleeting, easily manipulated to serve one's agenda, but actions speak louder than any promise or declaration. When someone says they're going to be there for you, but when you turn around and they're nowhere to be found, that's not just disappointing, it's a betrayal. It's a subtle form of disrespect. And the longer you allow someone to get away with this behavior, the more you diminish your own self-worth. You're telling yourself that you'll accept anything, even if it's not what you deserve, even if it's not genuine. But here's the truth. You deserve more than empty promises and shallow words. When someone's actions don't align with their words, it's easy to make excuses for them. Maybe they were busy. Maybe they had good intentions but just didn't follow through. Maybe they didn't know how much you needed them. But deep down, you know better. You know that a person who truly cares about you doesn't leave you hanging. A person who genuinely wants to help doesn't disappear when the going gets tough. A person who values you won't make you question their commitment by acting in ways that directly contradict their promises. Don't fool yourself into thinking that their lack of follow-through is just a one-time mistake. People show you who they are with their actions, not their words. The painful truth is that some people are masters of manipulation. They will say exactly what you want to hear, give you just enough to make you believe in them, and keep you invested in a false narrative. But when you're in need, when you need them to show up, they're absent. The disappointment is real and it stings. The worst part, it's not just a random act of negligence. This behavior is often intentional. They know what they're doing. They know they can get away with it. And they do it because it keeps you emotionally hooked. It keeps you tied to their promises, even when their actions clearly show you who they truly are. And so you stay, holding on to hope, holding on to their words, because it's easier to believe that one day they'll live up to their promises. But the reality is, their words are nothing but smoke and mirrors. If someone truly cared, their actions would match their words every single time. They wouldn't need to promise you the moon and stars. They'd simply show up for you over and over again, without the need for validation. They wouldn't just tell you they love you, they demonstrate it with their actions. They wouldn't promise to be there for you, they'd make sure they were there when it counted. This is a crucial truth to hold on to as you navigate relationships with toxic people. Words are cheap, actions are priceless. When someone's actions don't match their words, it's time to walk away. It's time to stop believing in their false promises. It's time to stop excusing their behavior and accepting less than you deserve. You deserve people in your life who will back up their words with meaningful actions. People who will show up when they say they will. People who will be there for you without making you feel like you're begging for their time and attention. Actually, it's not easy to let go of someone who has fed you promises, who has made you believe that they cared, that they were invested. But once you see the truth of their actions, once you recognize that their words are hollow, it becomes easier to let go of the fantasy. People who care about you don't just speak kind words, they live them. They show you through their actions that they are who they say they are. They don't leave you wondering if they mean what they say. They don't make excuses. They don't vanish when you need them. They prove it day in and day out with their actions. So take a step back. Stop giving your time and energy to those whose actions don't align with their words. Start holding people accountable for how they treat you, not just for what they say, but for what they do. You deserve more than empty promises. You deserve someone who will show up for you consistently, with integrity, with authenticity, and with love. Don't settle for less. No. Number 4, they create division. You've probably come across people who seem to thrive in chaos, who seem to enjoy stirring the pot, creating division between people who should be united. They plant seeds of doubt, fan the flames of conflict, and create an atmosphere of mistrust where there was once harmony. They talk behind people's backs, fuel misunderstandings, and enjoy watching the fallout from the wreckage they leave in their wake. You can feel it in the air when they are around. A sense of tension, a palpable discomfort that lingers long after they've left. It's like they're always working to create separation between people who once were close. Always looking for ways to manipulate, control, and divide. At first, it might seem subtle. Maybe they throw in a small offhand comment, a little remark that plants doubt in your mind about someone else. They'll tell you something that makes you question your relationship with another person, subtly implying that maybe they don't have your best interests at heart. Maybe they're not as loyal as you think they are. Maybe you've been taken advantage of. They may claim to be just trying to look out for you, but what they're really doing is undermining trust. They want you to view others through their distorted lens, to see your friends, family, or colleagues as threats, as potential enemies. It's all a game to them. A game where they get to sit back and watch people turn on each other, all while pretending to be the innocent bystander who's just trying to help. But over time, You start to notice the pattern. It's not just one person they're creating division between. It's anyone who comes into their orbit. They'll do the same thing over and over, putting ideas in people's heads, telling one person what another person said, twisting words and situations to suit their own agenda. They manipulate conversations, leaving people feeling confused, hurt, and divided. They're always playing the middle, the instigator, the one who secretly enjoys the turmoil they've caused. And what's worse, they act like they have no idea what's happening, as if they're just an innocent observer who didn't mean for things to get out of hand. What makes this behavior so toxic is that it doesn't just create temporary tension, it tears apart relationships that were once strong, leaves scars that can take years to heal, and creates an environment where trust is almost impossible. When someone is constantly sowing division, people start to question everything. Their friends, their family, even their own instincts. It creates a sense of uncertainty, a feeling that no one can be trusted, not even the people closest to them. This type of behavior doesn't just damage one person, it damages entire communities, workplaces, families, and friendships. These individuals thrive on the emotional turmoil they create. They're not interested in solving problems or mending relationships. They're interested in maintaining control. When people are divided, when they're at odds with each other, they're easier to manipulate. They're distracted. They're too busy fighting each other to realize the real problem, the person who's orchestrating the conflict. They stay in the shadows, always pretending to be the neutral party, the one who's just trying to help, when in reality, they're the ones pulling the strings. They like to stay on top of the chaos, getting all the benefits without ever being caught in the crossfire. Over time, the damage they cause starts to become clear. People who were once friends no longer speak to each other. Family members stop visiting and colleagues start avoiding one another. Trust is shattered and the community or group they've infiltrated becomes fractured. The longer these toxic individuals are allowed to continue their behavior, the harder it becomes to fix the damage. What was once a strong, united bond becomes an unrecognizable mess, filled with suspicion and resentment. And the person responsible, the one who has been dividing everyone, stands by, smugly watching the fallout. They know what they've done, and they've already moved on to their next target. But let me be clear, people who create division don't do it because they want to help, they do it because it gives them power. When people are divided, when they're fighting each other, they're weak, they're distracted, they're vulnerable, and that's exactly where the toxic individual wants them. Out of focus, out of sync, and under their control. They want to keep everyone off balance, constantly questioning each other's motives, always wondering who's being honest and who's being deceptive. When no one can trust each other, they're easier to manipulate. And the more people they can turn against each other, the more power they have. If you want to protect yourself from this kind of toxicity, it's crucial to recognize it for what it is. Division is the tool of manipulators and power-hungry people. It's not something that happens accidentally. It's not a mistake. It's intentional. And it's up to you to recognize the signs before you get caught in the web. These people will always try to get you to question others, to doubt your own relationships, to see the world through their skewed perspective. But when you can step back, when you can detach and see their game for what it is, you can stop it in its tracks. You don't have to buy into their narrative. You don't have to let them control your perception of the people around you. The best way to protect your peace is to remain united with those you trust. Don't let someone's attempt to divide you succeed. Stay close to the people who have your best interests at heart. The ones who've shown you consistent love, loyalty, and support. When someone tries to create conflict between you and others, remember that it's not about you, it's about their need for control. It's about their desire to weaken the bond you share with those you care about. Those who care about you enough to weaken your bond with the children. Go later in the evening, but you don't have to fall into their trap. And when you do find yourself in a situation where division has already taken root, don't shy away from addressing it. Speak up, stand firm in your commitment to unity and peace. Call out the behavior for what it is. Toxic people thrive on secrecy and lies, but when the truth is brought to light, their power begins to crumble. When you choose to protect your peace, when you refuse to allow division to take root, You not only stop their manipulation, but you also build a stronger, more resilient foundation for the relationships in your life. Remember, the toxic person wants nothing more than to isolate you, to keep you from those who can truly support and uplift you. Don't give them that power. Hold on to the bonds that matter, the relationships that are built on trust, and let go of the ones that are built on manipulation and division. You are stronger when you stand united. Don't let anyone tear you apart. Number 5, they drain your energy. Have you ever been around someone who, when you leave their presence, you feel utterly exhausted? It's like you've given everything you had, your time, your attention, your patience. And when you walk away, it feels like your energy has been siphoned right out of you. You're mentally and emotionally drained. And you can't even put your finger on exactly why, but you know something isn't right. These people have a way of draining your life force. And it's not always something you can immediately identify. At first, it might just seem like a series of small inconveniences. Maybe they're always asking for help or telling you about their problems without offering any support in return. But over time, you begin to feel worn down, like you're constantly giving and never receiving. This is one of the most insidious traits of truly toxic people. They have an energy about them that is all-consuming. They will monopolize your time and your emotional bandwidth without ever considering how much they're taking from you. It's not that they're overtly malicious necessarily. It's often a more subtle, covert kind of draining. They can dominate your thoughts and feelings, leaving you feeling emotionally fatigued and spiritually depleted. You might feel like you've been giving your all in every interaction, but instead of feeling fulfilled or uplifted, you feel hollowed out. You start to notice that after spending time with them, you need hours to recover, to get back to a place of peace and balance. But the more time you spend around them, the less time you seem to have for yourself. These individuals are often masters of emotional manipulation. They draw you in with their problems, their drama, their constant need for attention, and before you know it, you're completely immersed in their world. It feels like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to be the one who fixes things, who listens, who helps them through their crises. But no matter how much you give, it's never enough. The more you pour into them, the more they demand and the less they seem to give back. They have a way of making everything about them, their needs, their struggles, their pain. And when you're constantly in this position of trying to take care of their emotional baggage, you neglect your own. You start to feel like you're not allowed to have your own problems, your own needs, your own time. One of the most draining aspects of these toxic individuals is their inability to give back. They'll take your energy, your time, your focus, but when it's time for them to step up and offer support in return, they're nowhere to be found. You'll find yourself constantly trying to lift them up, trying to be the strong one, trying to fix their problems, but they never offer to carry your burdens when you need them. They're not there when you're down, when you need a shoulder to lean on, or when you need someone to listen to you. Instead, you'll find yourself in a one-sided relationship where you're always the giver and they're always the taker. It's a toxic cycle that slowly wears you down until you feel like there's nothing left for yourself. They have an uncanny ability to make everything about them. And when you're caught in their web, you become their emotional caregiver, their emotional crutch. This creates an emotional imbalance, and you start to feel like you're constantly in reactive mode, responding to their issues, trying to calm them down, trying to solve their problems. But in doing so, you neglect your own needs. You put your own dreams, your own aspirations, your own peace of mind on hold because you feel responsible for them. And the longer you stay in this dynamic, the more energy they drain from you. The more you give, the less you have to give. It's like they are a bottomless pit of emotional need, and no matter how much you pour into them, they're never satisfied. The most dangerous thing about this is that you may not realize how much they're draining you until it's too late. At first, you might be happy to help. You might feel like you're being a good friend, a good partner, or a good family member. You're doing what you think is right, being there for them when they need you. But slowly, imperceptibly, you start to feel off. You're fatigued all the time. You're irritable. You can't concentrate on your own goals or dreams because you're too focused on theirs. Your emotional reserves start running low, and eventually you realize that you've